So that goes over and over in my head every time I close my eyes, because I feel like it's my fault, because I laid her back down. I didn't leave her in bed with me.
Yeah.
So that goes over my head. It's like a video that plays.
Yeah.
But then I went back to sleep. And then in the morning she was gone. But I didn't know. I thought she was still asleep, so I went back to sleep.
And he hadn't said anything to you about any of this? Y'all haven't discussed it? You and him together, when y'all were alone, you're telling me this has not been discussed, period?
When I try to discuss it, he shuts it down. He doesn't want to talk about it.
So what do you think about that in your mind? Do you think he's being honest?
I want to think he's being honest.
You know whether or not you did it.
I know I didn't.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. So you're telling me you didn't. So that leaves only him. You see what I'm saying?
I would be lying to you if I ever questioned.
Well, sure you. I understand that.
I question it every day. Even the phone call I made to you, that was me questioning. Because I want to know why. I'm thinking that if you guys can show me why you think it's him, maybe I'll see it from your guys' point of view, and then maybe it'll...
Well, our big deal is the way he acted that morning. Knowing that she was gone. And then he says...
He didn't know she was dead. He thought she was hurt.
Well, he told us he checked for her breathing and pulse, and there wasn't nothing.
He told me when it all happened, and I kept trying to tell him that there was something really wrong. He put his hand on her chest like this, and told me to calm down because there was a pulse. And then whenever I picked her up and went through the hallway to the living room yelling at him to call 911, I laid her down on the couch on her back so I could go figure out what happened. And then I turned on my heel and I realized that my shoulder was wet. So that made me turn back around, and he was on the phone with 911 or whatever, and that's whenever I seen the blood on her lip. And then I screamed at him because I was further away from her than him to flip her over and hit her on the back because I thought maybe she was choking, and he flipped her over, but he was barely touching, patting her back. So, and that's when he hung up the phone with the ambulance people, so he could do what I told him to do. And then I pushed him out of the way and hit her harder on the back to get the stuff for whatever out of her throat.
Right. And
then he felt for a heartbeat again and told me there was a heartbeat. And I kept telling him there wasn't. And that's when I screamed for him to call 911 again, and he did. And then I was holding her, and he told me he had to take those people home. I told him that he probably shouldn't. He said, I have to take these people home, and he left. I took Olivia back into the bedroom, laid her on the bed on her back, trying to figure out where she was hurt, or definitely where she was bleeding. And that's when I looked in her little mouth, and that's whenever, when I was holding her, why he was on the phone with 911 the second time. I went to do this to put her here, and I took my hand off of her neck, and then I noticed that her head kind of flopped, and I went to catch it, and that's whenever I felt the crack or a cracking feeling in my hand. And I yelled at him that I thought her neck was broken. And then that's whenever he was on the phone 911 and told him to come the second time, and then right after that he left. Then I took her back to the bedroom. I took her little onesie off of her. Was looking for the whatever, and then I flipped her over onto her stomach so I could check her neck, and I put her little hair in like a ponytail with my hand, trying to feel around on her head to find it. And I couldn't. The only thing that I seen was the little bruise here and the little bruise here, and I couldn't figure out why she was bleeding. And I even tried to check her mouth, and that's when I noticed that her arm wouldn't come down.
Yeah.
And then I laid her on her side just in case. Just in case she was going to choke or whatever. I think that was just me hoping that she would. I laid her on her side, and I ran to find my phone so I could call 911 again, because it was taking them forever to me. I don't know why. But when I got a hold of 911, I talked to the lady for maybe 30 seconds, and then I seen the shoes in the door, and then that's when they came in.
Yeah.
But he did tell me she had a pulse twice. So I don't know. He says he thought she was just hurt and was going to go to the hospital.
Well, he didn't feel a pulse, that's for sure.
I always thought he felt his own.
It maybe could have. But when he took them home, he didn't even come right back. Well, you know, that's just weird.
He did come right back.
No, he didn't. He went down the road and stopped and called his ex-wife and talked to her for 40 minutes.
He told me it's because the police was pushing him off the road.
That didn't make sense. Didn't say nothing to Pam about the whole deal. But he went down the road and talked to her for 40 minutes on the phone before he came home, knowing what you were going through. So see, the stuff like that absolutely points to him. Okay? But what bothers us is the fact that you're still with him. You're still, you know, for a funeral. I didn't know about the funeral. You knew there was a funeral.
I set up the funeral from where I was at. I was going to come back. I set it up at McDonald's. I want to say it was McDonald out of Greenwood. I called him. We set it up. He had a chapel on the side of his, what do you call it, funeral home? And he was giving us everything. The casket, the only thing I was going to have to pay was $600. And he was going to let us have 2 different services in his little chapel for Jose's family and for my family. And because I didn't know what Jose wanted, I told that guy to call Jose, and I gave him Jose's number. And that guy called Jose because I wanted to make for sure Jose got a say in what went on that day. And Jose straight told that guy, we have everything under control, Eva's just not supposed to know about it. And that guy called us back and told me. So...
Did you call Jose and talk to him?
I did talk to Jose. Jose told me that the first time I talked to Jose, he told me he was going to cremate her. We had a fight about that, and I told him no. Well, then, that was before I set up the funeral. And then, I want to say we talked again, and he said something. He was going to go meet with someone about getting her body released or something, and I told him that's when I just got to Michigan, and he said something about the funeral being, he wanted it on a Thursday, I believe, and then I called. I was under the impression he hadn't set anything up, so that's when I called and had everything set up, and the funeral was going to be on a Monday. But he told me something about a Thursday, but the funeral was a Saturday. So I was under the impression it was going to be on whichever day, but I had no idea about a Saturday. Because I called my mom and I told my mom that me and Jose were fighting over the cremation. And that we were going to bury her by my granny and papa in Waldron. Because my mom has, what do you call it?
Lots. Right, yeah.
Because she has 12 kids, so she had a lot of them already paid for. Because that's the road that I grew up on. And I was going to bury her by my granny and papa. But Jose told that guy I wasn't supposed to know, that he had everything taken care of. And if you need that, I probably could call the guy.
Why did y'all go back to Michigan?
Because the lawyer said that that was the best thing to do.
What did you think about it?
I didn't want to go because my family is here. But I was under the impression that that was the best place for us to go. They paid him $100,000, so I thought he knew what he's talking about. And then when we came back, my main reason for coming back is because I did miss Olivia's funeral, and I still haven't seen her grave. But I was going to go that day and see her grave. But then Jordan got arrested, and the lawyer told us to get back to Michigan. And then I didn't come back at all, because I was under the impression that I wasn't allowed to come back to Arkansas per the lawyer.
He's not your lawyer.
But he said that...
You know what I'm saying?
I know, but I don't know if any of this really happened. I'm just telling you what I was told. I was told, mind you, I'm really scared about Tripp, so I don't really like to bring his name up, but I was pregnant with him. And I had insurance and everything in Michigan. But at first it was, I couldn't come back and live with Jordan because I was pregnant with Tripp and I had Michigan Medicaid or whatever, and my doctor was in Michigan. I tried to argue the point that I could have got Medicaid like that in Arkansas. I've always had it there. But then it went to the lawyer. The lawyer says it's not a good idea because they picked up Jordan.
He's got one concern, and that's Jordan. That's not you.
So my mom keeps saying.
You know what I'm saying? And that lawyer knows. He knows the truth. Jordan knows the truth.
They told me the lawyer knows Jordan didn't do it.
So that leaves you. Did you do it?
There ain't no way in hell.
There's two people in that room. You and Jordan.
Can I smoke again? I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
It's too much.
So what did he done that for?
I'll be right back with you, okay?